Okay, Mary, what's wrong with your neck? What kind of you obviously hurt?
It's been 7 weeks now. I had a bad fall and I broke my neck.
Oof.
So we're hoping the neurology or neurosurgeon, whatever they're called over there, the spine doctors, tomorrow will hopefully write me out of the neck brace and I can start doing exercises. The MRIs and the CAT scans and the x-rays seem to show it healing up really well. So it was what you call lucky break. Or my C2 vertebrae, but I did not, I'm not quadriplegic or dead. So there you go. It's a very lucky break when you break your C2, it's usually dire. I cracked my C1 and broke my C2. I fell at my son's house. I fell backwards and hit the wall of the left side of my head, had a big 4-inch gash in my head. Took a bunch of staples to put it back together. And I hit it so hard that I had a crush fracture on the right side of my C2 vertebrae. So doing I'm pretty over wearing this thing because it's a 24-hour day deal. You sleep in it, and I have a second one. So I'll take a shower in this one, then I'll put the other one on that's dry. And so I have to sleep in it, and I have to be in it 24 hours a day. But I feel like I've reached the end. They say 6 to 8 weeks, and I've been in it 7. So I think I'll be written out of it tomorrow. And then the process of getting my bobblehead, get the exercises to put my neck back. Because even when I take it off for a minute, turning my head still hurts. So it's going to take a little bit of time to, but hey,
with that,
at least I'm here to say I complain about the pain,
With that medical report, we're going to go ahead and start
There you go.
our meeting.
Recording in progress.
We'll call the meeting to order. As we gather today, we acknowledge that Eureka, California is ancestral territory of the Wiyot people. We also honor all Indigenous people and territories and sovereign governments that share governance within Humboldt County, California. We gather with respect and gratitude to these Indigenous people. We thank and honor the Indigenous caretakers of the land who continue to cherish and protect it. Their elders have instructed the young to consider the 7 generations ahead as they continue to protect the rights of the land and all people who live on it. We encourage all to align and follow the lead of local Indigenous communities as they steward the land and protect all of its natural resources. And we'll take a moment of silence. Okay. Carol, if you will call the roll, please.
Okay. District 1, Jim Glover.
Here.
Carol Larson, I'm here. Bird Lochte.
Here.
District 2, Larry Miller.
Here.
Diatso Perkins.
She is not here yet.
You might make it.
Okay. District 3, Guy Arnoff.
I'm here.
Jamie Jensen.
Here.
Ellen Murphy.
Not yet.
Okay. District 4, Mary Lyons.
Harry.
Here I am.
Mary, do you want Hensley on the end of your name?
It's okay to just go by Lyons. Both are legal.
Okay, thank you.
I go by Miss Lyons as a teacher.
Eddie Morgan. And we have Kimberly Wiley.
Here.
District 5, Lisa Sundberg.
Here.
Okay. And I believe we have a guest speaker, Fernando.
Fernando Paz is here.
Here.
So that completes the roll call.
Yes.
Okay, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our newest commissioner. Kim, do you go by Kim or Kimberly?
Yes, Kim is fine.
Okay, Kim Wiley is attending her first meeting tonight, and I'd like to give her a couple of minutes to introduce herself to you.
Hi, thank you, and I'm glad to be here with you all. My name is Kim Wiley. I've been in Humboldt County for 4 years. I do work for the state of California. I've been with the state for 22 years in different capacities. I currently work for the Department of Rehabilitation. So I help folks who have disabilities get back into employment or have employment for the first time. So I'm out in the community working with employers. I do presentations for disability etiquette and inclusion. So that's something that anyone can request of me. If you know of anyone that needs those kind of trainings within their work sites, I'm open to getting them on my schedule. So feel free to reach out to me. I am really interested in just working with a lot of the people within our community. I see them all the time. I work with people who are homeless, who are disabled, who are coming out of the prison systems, and people who just need to, re-enter into society and just be part of the community. So I'm really looking forward to learning from you all and being part of this committee, because I think that it's really needed. So thank you for having me.
Well, we're happy to have you join us.
Welcome.
Okay, I did get that a little bit out of order. I should have done agenda adjustments. Are there any requested agenda adjustments for tonight?
I would like to have something at least discussed to maybe be put on next month's agenda, and that's the I mentioned it earlier. It was about getting support for the Hoopa tribe and the BIA coming and investigating people that are murdered, missing, that the county's not.
Well, why don't we spend a few minutes on that subject when we do that committee report?
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. Any other suggested changes?
Carol should know that Dotso's here now.
Yes, she has joined us.
Thank you.
Okay, under opening notes tonight, I think it's appropriate that I add a little bit to our standard statement, because there are members of the community who may have confusion about what the role of the Human Rights Commission is. There may even be some members of the commission that forget what the role is. And of course, we have a new member tonight, so I think it's appropriate that I spend just a couple of minutes doing this. In light of recent community events, I believe it is necessary to remind all of us what the obligations of the Human Rights Commission are and are not. First is its function. And our obligation in function is to aid in the eradication of discrimination in housing, employment, education, public accommodation, race, religious creed, color, national origin, ancestry, physical disability, mental disability, marital status, gender, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, civic interest, and other factors. Ours is an advisory commission whose primary purpose is to recommend actions by the Board of Supervisors, to the Board of Supervisors that may address issues related to human rights in our county. We have no regulatory power except the powers of persuasion. That is something not always understood by the community. We are not an advocacy group for all issues, only ones directly related to human rights. Mm-hmm. Having said that, we'll consider the approval of the minutes of the December meeting. Did you get a final tally, Carol? Minutes?
Yes, I did. I do. There is a edit that I had to change on the minutes under the approval of the meeting minutes for last month. It should have been November the 3rd instead of December the 1st.
Well, why don't we have a motion and a second to approve that correction then, if there are no other corrections? Is there a
So
motion? Bird moves. Is there a second? Guy? Okay, all those in favor of having Carol make the changes that she just indicated, please indicate with a yes. Or hands up, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimously approved. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. Guy?
Boring as usual. No change over the last 3 months. Haven't been able to get any lottery tickets to make that $500 million or whatever. So yeah, we're still stuck at a balance of 476.90.
Okay. Guy, I would like to ask you, you don't need to do it right this minute, but if you could forward me the password and access information for the account. We're getting the statements online, but I don't know how to get to it.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Carol needs to know that Ellen is here now.
Oh, yes. Hi, Ellen. Okay. All right, at this point, we have a guest speaker with us from Humboldt State, excuse me, Cal Poly Humboldt. It'll take me a long time to get that right. And this is Fernando Paz.
Yeah.
I met with you once before COVID, and those meetings kind of fell away, but I hope they'll resume at some point. We're hoping that you can bring us up to speed a little bit on issues related to sanctuary and to just community activities that maybe we need to be aware of. I know there was a, I don't know if this would be in your area of expertise, but there was a vandalization of a garden in Arcata recently. And I don't know if that has any bearing on what you can share with us. But you have about 15 minutes to introduce yourself and cover whatever you feel we should know.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it. And as an extension to the invitation, I also invited Brenda Perez from Centro del Pueblo to join us. The way this is going to go is we're going to give kind of a general oral narrative presentation. At first, we'll give like a quick historical background on the sanctuary. And then Brenda will bring us up to speed with some of the current issues that are happening in the community, and then some possible steps moving forward. So that's kind of the general overview of the presentation. I myself came to Humboldt in 2005 and planned to stay just a couple of years, graduate, and then go back to LA. But then in 2008, as many of you know, there was an immigration raid at the Sun Valley Flower Farm. And that began a particular stage in the advocacy work for undocumented people in the region. At the time, the organizing was really focused around the immediate needs of folks in the community after the raid. Some folks were experiencing trauma from having their homes raided. Others were experiencing trauma from having their loved ones being taken away and deported. And just in general, the general feelings of tension and suffering that was happening from folks having to travel to San Francisco on a monthly, sometimes monthly, other times every 6 months basis to check in with immigration down in San Francisco. At that time, the work was really around responding to the immediate needs that were emerging in the community, legal aid, helping folks find the resources to pay for their rent, to keep food on the table, to keep their homes warm. As the years went on, at the time we created an organization called PARA, People Affected by the Raids in Arcata. And at the time, it really was just more of an immediate needs. But as the organizing grew, we started to imagine bigger. What could be a safer way a way to keep our community safer in kind of a larger aspects, right, at the time. And that launched a bunch of various different initiatives in the community. One of the initiatives was for Arcata to become a sanctuary county, sanctuary city, and that was achieved through the city council. And the other one was for Humboldt County to be a sanctuary county. We were the first county in the nation that became a sanctuary county through the ballot measure. So it was a huge undertaking that happened at the time. Some of the folks that had organized that are not here, but some of them are here because that required a large community mobilization to happen. It was a get out the vote effort. It was a informing the community effort, really letting folks know what was the situation that was happening with the undocumented community in this county, and what were some things that could be put in place to raise the quality of life for undocumented folks in this region, but primarily in the county. At the time I was working, at the beginning of that, I had been working as an organizer with the True North Organizing Network. I then transitioned into my role as the coordinator for what is now El Centro Académico Cultural at Cal Poly Humboldt. But throughout that time, I stayed in connection with and have now invited Centro del Pueblo, Brenda, to help share some of that struggle. Because in the last couple of years, maybe 4 years, they've been doing really a lot of the frontline, in the trenches work with what's been happening around sanctuary and our status as a sanctuary county. So maybe here's where Brenda can give us a little bit of a update on some of those things.
Thank you, Fernando, and thank you for inviting me up in the space for this report. My name is Brenda Perez. I am the director of Centro del Pueblo. We become a 501c3 nonprofit just recently, and that just speaks about the rhythm of action that we have been taking since 2016. So it's been a very intense period of time. It's been a period where we've been working against anti-immigrants policies, not only in the federal government, but also locally anti-immigrants expressions and acts of violence. So what I'm going to talk about the front lines first, I want to take the COVID-19 crisis as a point of the part. Centro del Pueblo has been enhancing the idea of sanctuary places everywhere. So like hospitals, clinics, the vaccination process, the test process, everything that is related to public health and that is related to the healthcare of people needs to be considered a part of the sanctuary law. We started by promoting information in Spanish as part of the right to be informed. We've been largely covering all the information about COVID in radio, TV, our own magazine, articles in the newspapers. COVID-19 showed us in Centro that we needed to start working with county agencies. So we work with the DHHS very closely. We work as well. We've been working closely with Fernando, with Cal Poly, HSU. And I think most of the people has been receptive of the measures that have been protecting the Latinx community, documented and undocumented, because our families are mixed. So the mixed status is something that we really need to take care of equally. COVID-19 then it's been the point of the part. Then, currently, as a part of our projects, we have sanctuary gardens. We have one in Lolita and one in Arcata. The one in Arcata, since the last 6 months, has been vandalized. The last event was on December 27th. It was the 5th time. And here are some of the most common questions. For example, why after the second or third time, we haven't put any cameras or any system for monitoring the garden. Well, the answer is that we don't have access to electricity or internet in the place. We need to rely on the landlords, the landowners, to have a better place to locate technology for monitoring something, for monitoring the acts in the garden. Other common question about the garden is why we believe these are racist attacks. Well, since the first attack, where we have our sign that welcome all immigrants and was all covered in black and putting USA America in the sign, we knew that the rhetoric and the speech and all the actions were leading us to mark a border inside the county, right? Like it was a measure of how can I say this, Fernando? Like it was a very strong message of this is a border too, and here are you that don't belong for saying something. The second and third attack was against the corn. The corn, it's a very symbolic part of our culture. The corn was harvested forcibly, was chopped down. The fourth attack was trash. Some people came and just emptied their trash bins in the entrance of the garden, including syringes and other type of very dangerous materials. And the last one was this one, where they locked the garden. They locked us out, and they tear down a kiosk of information that we put there in different languages, especially in Spanish. So this is part of our work to protect the space, to say we need to call the authorities on this. We need to collaborate with Arcata City Council, but also with this commission to bring a statement against these acts, because well, even the police is investigating as hate crimes, these acts. So I think it's very obvious what is happening. Just to also kind of talk about the front lines, after the earthquake, we've been working with a commission for having Spanish information in Spanish, but also for having families trusting in the county to have inspectors coming to their houses. There is a big fear about losing their houses, but at the same time, they are under risk. So we are working with these families, we're working with the county, and we're working with closely with a commission of Humboldt Area Foundation that is doing inspections in the ground to bring the most information possible about the risks of the natural disasters and see how we work all together to have protection to everybody. I'm gonna stop there and see if there is any comments, questions. I wanna say thank you, Fernando, for giving this context, historical context, because even if it's been more than a decade since the raids, there is still that memory, and there is still this fear, and there is still this gap that we need to close between the population, the Latinx community, and the agencies in the county, particularly the police department and the sheriff's department. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Brenda. Fernando, did you want to continue on now? Or
well, just to say that that is the state of where things are. We are continuing to organize as a community. As a matter of fact, we are planning to host an event on September 16th called Festejando Nuestra Comunidad. It picks up the legacy of what Festejando, there used to be an event called Festejando Nuestra Salud that was hosted by LatinoNet in years past. We're looking at regenerating that event in the new context. And this is important in terms of sanctuary, because it becomes a way to celebrate who we are, the cultural wealth that our community brings, nurturing it so that folks can begin to develop what it means to have a high quality of life, to not have to live in fear. So this is in combination with the sanctuary issue. We are planning it to be something like a health fair, an education fair, a cultural fair. We're in the process of organizing it now. Actually, we started in November of last year. And we're hoping that this could be a culmination of all the different struggles, stories, narratives, discourses that are happening within the undocumented community and the Latinx community as a whole.
Well, great. I hope you'll keep us posted as you develop your plans, because we'd like to be as supportive as we can be. I see two hands up. I don't know who went first, but Bird, I'll go with you, and then Lisa after you.
Lisa's first.
Oh, okay. Lisa, go ahead.
Oh, there. Okay. Hi, Fernando and Brenda. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I am the indigenous person on the panel here. I'm from Chile. This is my homeland and my background. And I want to just say, on behalf of everything I've been taught by my mother, Joy Sundberg, is that you guys are like our relatives, and it breaks my heart that you're having these struggles here, from a community that hasn't, we're still healing from the trauma that we've experienced here as well in our own homelands. And so I hope that if there is some way that we can support what you're doing, I hope that we're able to do that. But I just want to acknowledge you and thank you. And I hope that people in the community can start seeing that it's unfortunately all the documentation, unfortunately all the borders and lines and all this kind of stuff separates us, but we are all, that's part of the Human Rights Commission, is to look at the humanity of each of us. And I'm sorry that you've had to go through that experience, but so I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for coming and sharing your story with us. Thank you.
Okay, Bird.
I just would like to know the ordinance that was passed from the vote, Fernandez, has a part of it that charges the Human Rights Commission with looking at a complaint about this. And I don't believe we've really had any complaints to deal with. And I wonder, is that because the community doesn't know about it, or are people in the community afraid to come forward?
I would imagine that it's because a lack of information. And also I believe that the fear of coming forward is probably part of it as well. There is clandestinity is a strategy that undocumented folks use. I mean, not putting yourself out there, not being very public. So sometimes having to voice your struggle in the public space can be a deterrent. But I think even just knowing that that's a possibility, I don't know that folks knew that. I didn't know that, for example. That might be a campaign or something we may want to get out there.
And if you folks have any suggestions as to how we might be more effective in that regard, we'd be very interested in doing that. Bird, did you have something else?
Yes, I wanted to follow that up with when it was first passed, we made copies of it in Spanish. We had it translated into Spanish, and maybe we need to do that again. Do you think that would be helpful?
I think so. What do you think, Brenda?
Yeah, that would be very helpful. And especially we have some announcements in the radio for people that cannot read. Maybe that will also be more, that will have more coverage. Radio is a very popular way also to get informed.
Well, I would think we would all, as a commission, look forward to help from you to help us get it spread out so that people do know, especially if just knowing it is there is helpful to people. So thank you very much.
Hi, Mary.
First of all, hi, Brenda. Haven't seen you in so long. And also, Fernando, tell your wife hi. I love you both. 2 quick points. I would love to see a representative from our local Hispanic community on our Human Rights Commission. So if you know of anybody who would like to participate and join the Human Rights Commission, we'd love to have somebody be a voice on the commission. That would be great. Also, I did hear something about maybe being able to put together what we would call a letter or something like that. And so while we cannot take any action on what you guys have proposed today, we could, I think, possibly discuss something like that in the Sanctuary Ordinance Committee to be able to, I don't know where else that would go. We'll have to figure that out amongst us as commissioners, where we could put something together, because there should be a statement from the Human Rights Commission. What's the word I'm looking for? Saying that what's happening with the sanctuary gardens is really uncool. I don't know how else to put it. Sorry, I'm fighting a cold, so my brain power is a little bit less. But when we get to that part, we could discuss that a little bit more if you want, a guy. But I do hear what you guys are saying, and if you know somebody who is able to come to these monthly meetings, we could really use a Hispanic voice on the Human Rights Commission that is plugged into what's going on in the community, so that we could get a little bit more often updates. I think that'd be awesome. And again, it's great to see both of you.
Good to see you too.
Okay. Any other commissioners with questions or comments?
Jim, this is Carol.
Carol, go ahead.
I'm sorry you can't see me. I tried to get my picture on there, but with no luck. I also want to thank Fernando and Brenda for sharing your stories. My grandfather on my mother's side came from a village above Mexico City. So I understand some of the immigration problems with the people. Again, I support Mary's recommendation that we have a Hispanic person on our commission. We have several districts that could that are available where our Board of Supervisors can appoint someone. It's important because the things that you have shared, many of the people aren't aware of what's going on. And speaking to some of my friends that are Hispanic and come from Mexico, they share those things. And even with me being Native American and Hispanic, it's difficult for them to even trust that I, being a native and being an American and knowing that they are undocumented, they're still afraid. So that fearfulness is out there. It's very prominent. And we as the commission, excuse me, that is part of our task, is to help share the information, get the information so that we can speak to those issues. So I thank you for joining us tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Carol. Well, Fernando or Brenda, do you have any additional comments you'd like to make?
I just want to say thank you. There is one more question there.
Yeah, I just want to support a letter coming from the commission, in saying this is not cool, and that, and for people that may know who's doing this to help, turn this in and plead to the community and ask them for support to find out who's doing this and to put a stop to it. So I support a letter. And again, thank you for sharing your story. Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you folks very much for joining us tonight, taking out of your evening time, and please stay in touch and keep us informed of what your plans are for September.
Absolutely, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point in our agenda, we will go to public comment. If a member of the public speaks and requests assistance on a non-agenda subject, the commission may not take any action or propose any solutions, but the citizen may be given a resource card for contact information relevant to their issue. The citizen may be given a complaint intake form for purposes of adding to a future agenda of the next regular Human Rights Commission meeting. And finally, An individual commissioner may speak with the citizen apart from the meeting and recommend steps that they might take. Members of the public will each be allowed to speak on agenda items once during each discussion, usually at the end of a commissioner's comments and prior to any action being taken by the commission. Time to speak will be limited to 3 minutes and closely monitored. The public is invited to speak The public is invited to speak regarding matters not on the agenda. Comments received by email will be presented by the chair. If a comment is presented by Zoom, it will be limited to 3 minutes. So are there any members of the public that would like to make any comment on non-agenda items? Okay, I see Christina Gores has raised her hand. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but yes, you have 3 minutes to go ahead and make your comment.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. My name is Christina Gers, actually, and it's very commonly mispronounced. I wanted to let you know, just on the record, that I am currently experiencing the PTSD symptoms that ended my very prestigious career with PG&E. And I have a question for Bird Lochte regarding hate crime rapid response, if that's okay.
Well, we don't engage.
How about generally generally to the board? Let's go with that.
What is it you're asking?
So as representatives of the Human Rights Committee and someone charged to, in your own words, eradicate discrimination on all forms, what do you suggest a victim of hate crimes, repeated hate crimes in Humboldt County should do if they have exhausted all avenues of due process and have been denied proper investigations on multiple levels, including local law enforcement? What would you suggest as a next step for someone who has evidence of experiencing a civil rights emergency or a complete and systemic shutdown of their basic human rights in Humboldt County? What would you say is a next step for this power girl who came to Humboldt County at the top of her career and has lost everything due to the inability, the inaccess of just basic civil rights, mental health services? I have a bevy of lists. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? I've lost everything since I came here to serve this county, and I served this county successfully for 2 years, and you didn't even know how vital I was to this community, and you still don't. I need to know where to go and who to talk to. I'm having a civil rights emergency.
Christina, does that conclude your statement?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm very sorry that I can't help you the way you would like me to help you. We can't comment on individual public comment in this forum. As I said before, we can reach out to you separately from this meeting and see if there's a way that we can help. But you'd have to be very specific about the form that you would consider your human rights to have been violated. And then at that point, we would be able to probably be more helpful. I thought I saw Lisa, but Bird has her hand up. And that we're not going to engage in a back and forth conversation, but if you have a comment that's helpful.
I understand that. I would like to say that what we can do is ask to have this as a specific item on our agenda. So Christina, you would have to give us a topic that we could have on our agenda, and then we would be able to discuss it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So if Christina is still there, if you wish to email the suggested item and be fairly specific about how you would want it worded, we could add it to the next agenda, which is a month from now. And that's about all we could commit to at this point, but we would welcome your submission.
So you can't answer the direct question of who to report hate crimes in Humboldt County to?
The
We're
public
just not allowed
comment,
to,
public comment on a non-agenda item does not allow us to engage in that kind of back and forth.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with that. Let's take the chopper.
Is that a rule that's in it?
Who,
We can't just say that.
who is speaking now?
It's Lisa.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa.
My hand is up.
Oh, I see. Yes. No, Lisa, we can't. The Brown Act doesn't permit that.
Right. We have to be able to do public notice of anything on our agenda. And once we give a public
Right.
notice, we can't add anything to the agenda without giving a whole new public notice for a whole
Okay, well,
meeting.
she's
Yeah.
in a crisis, so then then it would be something that somebody could address after the call or something like that.
Outside of the meeting, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I if somebody's in crisis, I hate to, go, well, we can't put it on the agenda, you have to wait for 30 days. It's just like, sounds a little unhuman rights of
Well,
us.
we didn't create the policies that we are governed by, as Janelle would
Okay.
well know.
All right.
It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. But
Let's get back to the hands in the air. Janelle, you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, I did. As having some experience with the Human Rights Commission.
We can't hear you. I can't.
Uh-oh.
We can just barely hear you.
can you move closer? There we go. Maybe that'll work.
Now?
Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
A little
Slightly
bit better.
Okay, let me see. There's a thing over here that might. Nope, that didn't do it either. Okay, so what I can say is that you can, if something is brought to you and you don't know anything about it and it just comes up at the meeting, you could either ask for volunteers or even appoint a subcommittee to deal with the issue. And that would, I am almost positive, you certainly could ask for volunteers. And I know that for certain. And I actually think you could appoint a subcommittee, a temporary subcommittee.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bird?
We can also provide Christina with the resource card, and she could call the line and talk with someone, have someone call her back with more of the issue that she has, and perhaps give her more advice as to where to go and who to speak with.
On that, on the resource card, Christina, we can direct you to the humboldtgov.org website. It has copies or links to copies of the resource card. Hopefully that will be of some help. We used to give these out at our meetings when we were meeting in person, but that's the next best thing. I could also mail something to you if that was not workable. Okay.
That'll be fine. I'll find that. You guys are the ones that have been bringing this up for the last 3 months, and you don't even have a plan to deal with the rapid response that you've been shoving down our throats for the last 3 months. Thank you.
Ma'am, your 3 minutes were up a little bit ago. Okay. Any other public comment on non-agenda items? Okay. Lisa, is your hand still in the air from previous, or is that something new? I guess it was.
That was from previous.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Is there any other public comment on non-agenda items? Your hand is in the air, Janelle?
Actually, I came here this evening, is one of the things I came, is to offer to you to talk to you about the Brown Act, because I think the interpretation that you're taking of the Brown Act is overly stringent and overly unfriendly to people that are coming to your meetings. And I don't think it's necessary. I also think there's some things about your subcommittees and stuff that it's information I think would be helpful to you. And I just wanted to offer that.
Okay, well, not unlike the previous caller, we welcome any information that you might share with us. We could also put it on the agenda for the next meeting. And if you would like to participate in that, we certainly would welcome that. Mary, and then we're going to move on after this to the next part of the agenda.
Janelle, if you could send any of that to us an email, what you're discussing, and we could possibly put it as an agenda item to discuss next month, that'd be great.
Okay. Okay. Next item on the agenda is emails, regular mail. There were no new emails. Regular mail, we did get a bit of information from Christina Gerst, and we're looking at that. All other announcements and communications, are there any from the commissioners in general? Okay. Message line report. This should be the message line report for December 1st through the 15th, which would be Jamie, and then December 16th through the 31st for Larry. Jamie?
Yeah, hi there. So I had about 6 calls during that time, or 6 interactions. A couple of them were calls back and forth. 2 of them were situations related to kind of tenants' rights, evictions. So the first one, I don't know how much detail do you want about them, or
just a summary of each one.
Okay, so the first one was stating that they had been evicted from the program Uplift Eureka due to some other kind of legal issues that came up in their relationship with their partner. There was nothing that I kind of consulted with Jim on this one and referred this person to Legal Services of Northern California for some support around tenancy and eviction rights. The other one, I didn't get a chance to engage with this person, left a message about a longstanding issue with police not affording them protection and harassing them. I left 2 messages, but didn't get a call back and wasn't able to connect. Had a call about someone looking to submit entries into our logo contest and gave them the information they needed, and they submitted some information. And then the other one was a 72-year-old disabled woman who was evicted from senior housing. And I referred them to, they had talked to Legal Services of Northern California and they weren't able to get any help. And I referred them to the ACLU for consultation and encouraged them to call us back if they didn't get anywhere. So that was, I think, all of my calls.
Okay, great. Any questions for Jamie? Okay, the next report would be from, where did Larry go? There's Larry. Larry?
I'm here. I didn't go anymore. I think I got 6, actually, I guess I probably about 9 calls, but 3 of them were from a gentleman in the county jail requesting to speak with us. Unfortunately, I'll go into a little bit more detail on the jail report, but I wasn't able to speak with him until well, I think just before Christmas. I finally was able to speak with this gentleman, and he had in the meantime got himself a lawyer that was, going to pursue his complaints against the jail. He felt that they were treating inmates like animals, and he had some real serious issues with the medical treatment that he was receiving. He was a recovering addict, taking methadone, and the dosages that they were allowing him were very inadequate. But since he did hire a lawyer, it kind of stopped our involvement with his situation. Let's see, we had another gentleman that was inquiring and wondering where his food stamps were. And I called him back and let him know that we really didn't have anything that we could do with him about that, and suggested he get a hold of DHSS. And I had another one, a lady from the jail call in just looking for help with her case. And since we really can't provide that kind of help, I didn't speak back with her. We had another lady wanting the Betty Chin telephone number, and so I was able to call her back and give her that. And then finally, we had a call from a lady that was interested in applying for to the commission, and she had spoken with you, Jim, and you had directed her in the right direction. So that's all my calls.
All right. Any questions for Larry? Okay, at this point, we'd be looking for volunteers for April 1st through the 15th and April 16th through the 31 days in April, 30 days in April, I think. Any volunteers for those dates?
I could do
Ellen?
1st through the 15th.
Jim, are you sure it's April? Isn't it March?
Oh, you were right. You were right. If I just read my own notes, I would have the answer. It's March 1st through the 15th. Mary, you're volunteering for that?
Yeah, I'll take that first 2 weeks.
Okay. And Ellen, would you take the second?
I would.
Okay, thank you. All right, I still think that's far enough out to, we don't need to go any further than that. Okay, well, Larry, back to you, the Correctional Facilities Liaison Report. You had something you wanted to add there.
Yeah, we've just gotten word that our old liaison, Norma Clemens, is no longer employed at the jail, and that was kind of the problem in getting access to the inmates that wanted to speak with us, because apparently there was a period of time there just was no liaison available. But we do now have one. It's Sergeant Garcia. She's an administrative sergeant there at the jail, and was actually the excuse me, the boss of our previous liaisons. So I don't know if that means that we're going to be getting a new one, or she's going to remain the liaison, but hopefully we will not be experiencing the delays that we have been in terms of being able to set up these phone calls. So,
hopefully that's going to be the case now.
Yeah, I explained to her, and she really seemed to understand that our credibility depends on if we got a sign in the jail that says call the Human Rights Commission, and they're not getting back, that's just, we might as well not be there if that's in that kind of a situation. So
right.
Hopefully it'll start to improve.
Okay, great. Thank you, Larry. Understanding committee reports, anything from the Sanctuary Committee?
No, other than our speakers tonight, we're pretty quiet.
Right. It might be in order for you, let's see, you and Eddie to plan a meeting to discuss that idea of a statement. Especially the one that's in Spanish. Just a suggestion, if you guys wanted to hash that over, I'd be glad to participate if Eddie's not available.
Okay.
Okay. The Human Trafficking Fund. There's nothing really to report other than that we do have funds available to support the anti-trafficking efforts of EPI. We also are working with, we're supporting the walk that they are having on this Saturday at Carson Park from 2 to 4. And you're all encouraged to attend in support of Tina Taylor and her group. And then on to ad hoc committee reports. Racism and Cultural Awareness Committee. That committee was due to expire on the 31st of December. We haven't had any activity on that committee. I don't know how you feel we ought to proceed. Carol? Oh, well, Lisa has her hand up, so.
Well, first of all, I want to take responsibility for not being as active in the last 6 months of the board, which created this gap. And I just think this committee is necessary to be here all the time. It's taken me a bit to kind of get some insights from our community in a way that I feel is useful. And I think that it just is going to require actually some work to get some real in-depth support for this particular area in going out and talking and visiting with the tribes, which I've had an opportunity to do with some of the natives in our community, and I wanted to report on that. So I know that we're not. So this is not a report. This is a discussion about what we do with it. And I would just like to keep it as an ongoing, piece of work that we do as a board.
Okay.
Regardless of absence.
Okay. I'll have a comment here in a second, but I see Bird has her hand in the air.
Yes, Lisa, are you suggesting that this should be a standing committee rather than an ad hoc committee?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, this is,
The only difficulty of a standing committee is that you do have to post the notification of the meeting and so forth, whereas with an ad hoc committee, you have a lot more freedom not to have to do it that way. But
well, I just
maybe the ad hoc committee should meet and discuss this, as well as what they would like the extended deadline to be, whether it's 6 months or a year or whatever. Okay, I'm sorry, Bird. Did I interrupt your train of thought? And I see Carol has her hand in the air.
Well, an answer to her is maybe in saying that it would. I think I just like wanting it to always be there and not to get rid of it. So whether that's a standing committee or not, if you can stay with the flexibility.
Yeah, it can be a long-term committee without being a standing committee.
Yeah, without dates on it. It's like. Even though I wasn't able to be present these last several months, there are things that came up during those discussions that I did forward to the board. Anyway, and I'll report on that, I guess, later in the conversation.
Well, at this point, why don't we entertain a motion to establish an end date, which can always be changed later.
That's why my hand's up. I'm trying to make a motion.
Go ahead then, make the motion or.
I'd like to make.
wait, before you make the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carol.
Since I'm the chair of the committee.
Go ahead.
I would like to have some comments made. First, I need to clarify with Lisa if she is talking about the right committee or the committee that she is the chair of.
Oh, well, then that might be an issue.
Yes, that's what I thought, Lisa.
Carol is a detail woman. I'm telling you, she's like, so it's been a bit. So all these name of these committees. So
Yes,
tell you that I didn't even know that. Okay, all right, got it.
This is Carol's committee, and it has a date problem as well, but it looks as though Mary Ann wants to address that, unless you have something else, Carol.
and no, I just wanted to make sure Lisa was aware of her
Yeah.
comments. I believe they were for her committee, which is further down the agenda. As for this committee, it started out because of the racial
Right.
comments that were going on with George and in the nation and so forth. And the cultural awareness part, I thought we had changed this committee's name. We deleted the word racism and we had cultural awareness. So that's
I'm a
Well,
little
why don't-
confu- I'm a little
Maybe that
confused by
would
that
help
too.
clarify it if we did that.
yes. So if it's cultural awareness and the purpose was tracking of cultural awareness and activities in the county, that could still be on the agenda so that we could track information like we just heard from Fernando, that they're going to have an event in September. We just heard that there's going to be a walk down by the bay. Those are the things that maybe we could still create a list. It would just be creating a list. It wouldn't be addressing anything going in depth. We would just, and that's what I thought the committee was for, was just to create a list of activities in our county.
And that is what it says here too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I think Mary would like to, oops, she went away. Mary? Well, would somebody like to make a motion that we extend this ad hoc committee on cultural awareness to 12/31/23?
I so moved.
Guy so moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Ellen seconded. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of extending this committee's deadline to the end of the year, please raise your hand.
Could we name the committee before we vote, please?
Can we name the committee?
Yes.
It's a Cultural Awareness Committee.
Thank you.
And then I would, is this when or do we take it to the committee for them to decide what the purpose and current issue is? Because the current issue is not.
Well, this was reestablished not very long ago. So they have the need to meet and then maybe suggest agenda items that we add to our next meeting.
Create their issue, their current issue.
Right.
All right.
So, yes, Guy?
Yeah, just a question, maybe for our next meeting, we might consider kind of merging the cultural awareness and sanctuary together.
I want to go back.
Well, let's discuss it at the next meeting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be done. Okay, all those in favor of extending the deadline for the Cultural Awareness Committee, please indicate by raising your hand.
See.
Yes.
That's me. I'm raising my hand. It's Lisa.
Okay. Okay, it's unanimous. All those here have voted yes. Okay. The next committee next committee report is from the Homelessness and Behavioral Health Committee. Guy. Oh,
We have not met, but we do need to. I'd like to send out, I think I sent out some information to you, Jim.
yes.
I'm going to send it out to the rest of the group because again, we have hopefully more money and maybe more government resolve to attack this problem in our community, not just at the state level, but President Biden just released a fairly long document. And I think we should meet at least again as our group and discuss that and then bring that to the group next meeting.
Well, Carol and I are members of your committee, and just let us know what you'd like to propose as far as a meeting time or date, and we can get back to you on that then.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Next report is the Survey Results and Policies Committee, which is expiring, but we have one more report. Ellen?
Yeah, I'm almost done with it. I'm sorry it's taken me a little longer. I've had sick people at my house and various things going on, so it hasn't worked out, but I just need to add a couple of sentences and then I'll be done.
Very good. So
do with it what we'd like.
That will have basically the entire survey on the county website and a summary of that survey, which is what Ellen is referring to there.
Thank you, Jim.
You bet. Mary, question?
Yeah, I'd like to move that we extend the committee until March 31st so that it gives her time to finish that.
Well, there's only
the date's over, so we need to extend it so she can report on it.
Well, yeah, that's fine with me. There won't be much else to report, but
well, then until February 28th. Then sound good?
That work for you, Ellen? Okay.
Yes, February sounds perfect.
All right. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, Guy seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of extending the Surveys Committee report to February 28th, please indicate with a yes. Oh, we're
Yes.
so unanimous tonight. Okay, thank you. And then moving on to the next item is the Logo Committee report. And we'll see, where's Dotso? Oh, she's not here.
There's a couple good submissions. Too bad she's not here.
Yeah, well, in lieu of her still being with us, we shared with you 5 different submissions out of about 18 that we received. Of those 5, 1 will be selected to be the winner of a $500 prize. A couple of them we're going to suggest some slight modifications, and if the artist is willing to make those changes, we'll still consider them to be among the top 5. Then in the February meeting, we would vote as a commission as a whole to determine which one will have the logo that we're all going to use. It'll be usable on letterhead, on the website, on Facebook, anywhere that our current county logo exists. I'm sorry that she's not here to talk about it, but Bert?
Will the committee have a recommendation for the commission?
Well, the recommendation, oh, I see what you mean, of the one?
Yeah, of which one they would prefer and why?
I think we had pared it down to 5 with not thinking we would make the final decision, but we could, I think once the corrections or the slight modifications are made, we could conceivably make a proposal for the commission to consider. Larry?
I looked at, I think there were 6 that you sent out.
5 different ones. One was black and white, or grayscale, and the other was in color.
Okay, my question is, what? Quite frankly, I didn't like any of them personally, and it bothered me that I didn't get a chance to look at the other ones. I don't know how to say I I was a little bit upset that, that there wasn't something that really jumped out at me. Maybe I'm just overly critical, but anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Other comments? Guy?
Just to give Larry clarification, I mean, I think we all like that. How many submissions did we get in total?
I think I said 18.
18? Okay.
18. And I guess ultimately a non-vote when we vote in February, a non-vote would be to not award a prize to anybody. I'm just thinking off the top of my head there, but
Would
okay.
it be possible to send for us to see all of them?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Would it be possible for us to see all of them?
Yeah, we could. They're all, I have 2 of them here on my desk, and the rest are all in emails that were submitted online. If you wish, I will certainly do that. You'll see a wide range of quality. I'll go ahead and do that. I won't. I'll just do it.
I would.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that.
Sure. I won't be able to explain anything in detail doing it that way, but I'll submit them and you can look them over.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Lisa, the Indigenous Peoples Report.
Now I can report on this. Well, how about I just go back and look at the script from the last comment.
We will have to extend the deadline for this. Do you want to do the same thing? Do you want to propose that we
Yes, I do.
extend this to the end of the year?
I do, and then I don't know if this would be the appropriate time for me to make the comments now. You want me to do a report, or I just
no? Let's go ahead and vote on the extension, and then you go ahead and make whatever comments you'd like to make. Okay. That'd be fine.
Yep.
So she's moving that we extend the deadline until the 31st, and Guy has seconded it. Is there any discussion on that extension? Okay, all those in favor of extending this committee to the end of the year, please indicate with a yes.
Yes.
Carol's a yes. Okay, it's unanimous. Now you could say all you want.
Yeah, so there was I can't tell you if I emailed it. I know that I either meant to email it or I did email it, but I had a visit with former chairwoman of the Hoopa Valley Tribe, Danielle V. Hill-Maston, who had indicated that they had put out a request to the Sheriff's Department to release the files of the missing Indigenous people who have not been found, that the Sheriff's Department have stopped looking for them. And so the possibility would be that the Bureau of Indian Affairs has their own police force that could continue on with the investigations and continue, following up on leads, et cetera. And they are waiting. It's been over a year to get a letter from the Sheriff's Department to release those files so that the Bureau could pick it up appropriately. They need the release from our Sheriff's Department. So we need to send a letter to the, I would say, to either the Sheriff direct or make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to make them aware of what's happening and what is needed by the Sheriff, and encourage them to get him to sign that release as what's needed. And that's number one. Number two, I was in a discussion, I guess, on the North Coast Journal. There was an incident over at the Cal Poly and about an assault on a young woman who felt that the Title IX I would guess she was a victim of an assault, and felt that just like the earlier comments that we had earlier, that the Brown Act doesn't give us a chance to be more human in certain crises when somebody's approaching us versus being really struck by the rule. And I guess the rules in the Title IX wasn't that supportive of the victim, and so she was. I'm waiting to get some more detail about it, but I guess it was spelled out in the North Coast Journal. But it's just something to look into a little bit more to find out what the civil rights were of the victim as it related to. She felt that Title IX program just basically was more or less a way to protect the school instead of the victim. So I'm just reporting what was said to me and just making it aware to our board, and to see whether or not there is something we can look into a little bit further in that and find out exactly where the breakdowns are, because we know system trauma comes from systematic abuse as well as a lot of these other abuses. And so just like this woman is frustrated, that's systematic trauma. This is a situation that is similar. And it's an area that, if we look at disparities in systems, I think it's part of our job to make people aware of it, and then make suggestions and see if there's a recommendation we can make on the Title IX program, or not program, or whatever law it is that they had to fall under with her circumstance. So that's all I have to report now. Thank you. Questions? I can't hear you.
I wouldn't be able to either. I wanted to suggest that now that you're available again, perhaps your committee could meet to craft a letter on the first issue, and then we can certainly put the Title IX Cal Poly issue on the agenda for the February meeting, if that's okay. But your committee could decide that.
Sure. I am happy to bring it up in the committee, because I think it's, I do believe that they're both worthy of having conversations. If anytime we see systematic breakdowns, just like even on our own board, I think we need to address them. And, we're here, that's part of the, us as, addressing human rights. And I think it's good for that. The other thing that I wanted to suggest is that, I know we only have $400 something in our budget, but I think we should be asking for a budget as Human Rights Commission to start doing some investigatory work, and going out and reaching out to our community a little bit more in some form or fashion.
Well,
so
while you were gallivanting all over the country, we got a budget, and it's not a big amount, but the county finally has given us a line item budget, which Guy is learning the ropes on. And so there are some funds depending on how energetic the project is. So this is something we could talk about in the near future.
Well, great. Super. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Oh, and by the way, your committee members, just in case, you are yourself, Guy, Larry, and Carol. So if you want to call a meeting, those are the ones to reach out to.
Who were the Guy, and who was the other one?
Guy, Larry, and Carol.
All right, great. Super. Wonderful.
All right.
Yay.
All right. The last committee meeting or committee item is the Junior Human Rights Commission. Jamie, is there anything to report there?
So not a lot to report. We didn't meet in December. The holidays and illnesses and all of those things complicated the month. We are still on track to do our poverty simulation with high school students on January 29th. And we are in need of volunteers. So if anyone is able to volunteer to help with that simulation, please let me know. I need probably 8 more volunteers before I start making my family members do it, which will fine. I'll make them do it.
When is that?
Reach out to me, Jamie, by email, and give me a phone number by email. Okay.
Would you also with me?
Yes, absolutely. I'll send an email with a a follow-up to all.
Send it to all of us, yeah, okay.
Absolutely. And you can, if you know people in the community, you don't have to have any kind of pre-existing knowledge at all to participate as a volunteer in the simulation. So you'll get all of the things you need to be able to do that successfully. So if you're interested, please help. The purpose, just as a reminder, of the poverty simulation is to generate conversation with high school students in Humboldt County around developing the Junior Human Rights Commission. So we'll move from the simulation to a conversation about how poverty is related to human rights, talk about the Human Rights Commission and the role and function of our commission, and then do a visioning session with the kids about what they would like to see as a junior commission, and hopefully recruit some people to continue working with us moving forward. Guy, I see you have a hand.
Yeah, I was going to mention, if you'd send me any material you have, I'll get in touch with Noah Zerby in politics over in the department.
That'd be great.
Because I know there's at least a couple people for sure that would either themselves or maybe some of their students, with the new semester starting up here in about 10 days. That would.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. I'll do that. And then I also wanted to say, I know Ellen, this has been on my mind. Ellen, started this conversation in my brain a long time ago. And now that committee is wrapping up and she won't be on a committee, perhaps she'd like to join our committee and be a fourth. Because I think having extra hands as we're moving forward with the kids would be really useful. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I would love to.
And while we're on the subject, briefly, Kim, if any of these committees strike you as something you would be interested in participating in, just let me know and I'll contact the chair and we'll go from there.
Thank you. And I also am curious to know, how do I start a new committee?
Well, you bring it up as an agenda item, which is coming up shortly, and we'll talk about it at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Jamie?
Nope, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. And on that subject, is there any unfinished business? I don't have any listed, but there might be something I missed. And the same is true of new business. Okay, well now at that point, we'll ask for reminders of what you'd like to have added to the next agenda. And Kim, since you brought it up, go ahead.
I would like to propose a committee on human trafficking. It's a big deal. There's President Biden just talked about dedicating the month of January to human trafficking. And I think that it's not a topic people are aware of enough. So I would like to discuss that, to bring that to the attention of our community, because we are in Humboldt County and there's a lot of human trafficking here that people are ignoring. Well,
here's what I'd like to mention to you. We have had a human trafficking fund committee. That fund is just about depleted. In fact, Carol, we need to show in the minutes, well, shoot, I didn't do this right. The Humboldt Area Foundation wishes to delete the remainder of approximately $500 from the grant that we received, and they will disperse it to us, but they need it to show in the minutes that we approved making that kind of a change. So I guess the proper thing to do at this point, unless Bird's got a different idea here. Go ahead, Bird.
Well, I would think that what we should do is, in the Human Trafficking Fund Committee, ask that Humboldt Area Foundation return that money to us, and that we change that from Human Trafficking Fund to Human Trafficking or Anti-Human Trafficking or whatever, so that it includes more than just what the fund was. And I think probably it should stay as a standing committee, because we are looking at funds that we will disperse for that.
Well, then
So
I would entertain a motion.
All right.
Go ahead.
Since I'm on that committee, can I make that motion?
Yes, please.
I move that we request Humboldt Area Foundation to refund to us all of the remaining money from the Human Trafficking Fund and close that fund at Humboldt Area Foundation.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Mary seconds it? Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to instruct the Humboldt Area Foundation to close that account, please indicate with a yes.
Yes.
It is unanimous again. Okay. And now, go ahead. I'm sorry, we're thinking of the same thing.
I move that we change the name of the Human Trafficking Fund Committee to Anti-Human Trafficking.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second by Lisa.
Oh, okay. Lisa got it that time. All right. Is there any discussion of changing the name and leaving it as a standing committee? Please, go ahead.
I was thinking like human trafficking education, because I think that educating the community is the primary function of any type of committee like that. So I don't know if that could be an option also.
Well, what is the wording you're proposing? Because that's what we're voting on.
Human trafficking education.
Is that okay, Bird?
I would like to perhaps add even to that human trafficking education and eradication.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Okay, there was a second, and the second was from Lisa. Do you agree to change the wording?
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
All
I'm
right,
a
we're back.
no. Wouldn't we want to just call it the Human Trafficking Committee and then decide on its purpose and its current issue? Because that's what we do. We would always, the issues could change and the purpose could change. So if we limit ourselves by calling it those specific things, that limits us in the future, but we could always change our purpose and our current issue by just calling it the Anti-Human Trafficking Committee. See what I'm saying? Then it doesn't limit us to only doing education or only doing outreach we'll be able to take on other issues that come in from the community, but we can always change our purpose and our current issues.
Okay, well, this would require the person making the motion and the second to yet again change the wording. So
I would like to keep it this way for two reasons. We have a new member of our commission who has brought this forward with an idea. And I also think that when we say education and eradication, that encompasses anything that could have anything to do with human trafficking.
okay.
I agree.
Any further discussion?
Jim, I just want to clarify the title because it was changing.
Yes, it was. Here's the motion. The motion is to adopt a new name for this committee, and it would be called the Human Trafficking Education and Eradication Committee.
Okay, that's where I wanted to make sure because at first it was anti.
Yes, am I right about that, Bird?
Yes, you're right, Jim.
Okay, all right. All right. I think we're ready to vote. Oh, all those in favor of the new designation for this committee, please indicate with a yes.
Yes.
It's unanimous again. Okay. All right, that's good. And Kim, would you like to be on that committee?
Yes, I would, please.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Jim, you have to take one person off that committee.
How many would that be?
It would be 5 with her. Glover, Morgan, Lochte, Sundberg.
Well, I think I'll
Glover should be on it. He's the
I think
chair.
I'll remove Eddie for the time being anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is is the rest of the future agenda items. We've discussed some of it. One of the items for next month was suggested by Carol, and that was somebody speaking to the subject of pronouns.
Yes.
Can you fill me?
So with the committee's permission, I've already invited Dr. Raymer,
How does he spell his name or her name?
his name, Raymer. He works at United Indian Health Services,
Okay,
and he will be providing a presentation regarding pronouns.
that ought to be interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you have an email address for me to send a link to him?
Yes, I'll send it to you.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. And then at some point, Carol, I had your name down next to somebody speaking on harm reduction.
Dr. Raymer, what I mentioned was Dr. Raymer gave a pronoun presentation at a harm reduction summit.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other agenda suggestions for next month?
You're not forgetting about the ordinance in Spanish. I know we talked about
I have it written down that we would.
On the committee.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, unless there is anything else that anybody, Lisa?
Yeah, I noticed on a previous agenda or something that AHA was not able to continue giving showers to the homeless people.
Right.
And last year we we sent a letter to the Board of Supervisors, and I don't know what our response was from them. I don't know any improvement that has been made from the county. I don't know what our stats are as far as the homelessness and people that are without shelter right now, especially during the storm. So I kind of feel like I feel out of touch with that whole statistic and that letter, if anything ever came of it.
I wasn't here when that took place, so I don't have any idea what was done.
We had asked
if you'd like us to revisit this at the next meeting as a new item, we can certainly do that.
Yes.
And this is showers specific or housing in general?
Showers and homelessness, showers, and lodging. Because we're right in the middle of winter, and with the storm, I don't know what was done. I mean, if they can't afford to pay for providing showers, what is going on with shelter for people that are caught in the storm right now?
Right. Well, okay.
Where are we at with homelessness in the county?
Yeah, well, it does sound, Guy, like we need to meet. So give us the time and day when you think we should, and that will be included on the agenda for the February meeting. Larry.
Somewhat of a delicate issue, but one of our commissioners has not shown up for over 3 meetings and has provided no reason why. I think you know who I'm talking about. I'm real concerned, that he theoretically that person should be asked to resign because I don't know if that should be an agenda item, how if there's a personnel committee that needs to address that or what, but
there's a mechanism.
Really unfair to.
Yeah, there's a mechanism in the bylaws for dealing with that, and I will.
Has that person reached out at all in the last couple months to be excused?
No,
All right, well, that's something that could be done outside of a publicly recorded meeting.
that's what I was saying. The mechanism exists for taking care of that.
So well, how does that work? Is that gonna?
I have to notify the individual that had unexcused absences, and I think the number is 4. If there are 4 in a row, they are removed from the commission, and we'll ask the supervisors to appoint a replacement.
Okay. Thanks.
I'll have something to report on that at the next meeting for sure. Okay, anything else from the commission? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Mary and Lisa was the second, I think.
Lisa motioned and I seconded.
Oh, okay, I got it backwards.
Yeah,
Her hand went up quicker than your
I
picture.
was ready, man. Roughneck McGee over here, trust me, I'm.
All right. All right. Well, thank you all very much. All those in favor of adjourning for the evening, please indicate with a yes.
Yes.
Yeehaw.
Yahoo.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all very much. Have a good.
Good work, Jim.
Thank
See
you.
you guys next month, hopefully
Good
with.
meeting,
I
Jim.
Thank
will
you.
not have a neck brace. Yeah, it was only an hour and a half. Well, 6:30. Yeah, it was only an hour and a half long.
Oh, but who's counting?
That's not too bad. I mean, we a lot 2 hours. You know.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. I hope
See you
to
later.
be in prime form next month. I won't
Janelle,
have a
you
cold
said-
or a neck brace.
Janelle?
We'll be ready to rock and roll.
Janelle? Oh, I lost. Oh no, she's still there. Janelle, may I contact you about discussing the? Oh, you're moving around on me. Can I contact you about making some comments next week or next month?
No, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you better now
Yes,
than I
you
did.
can contact me. I was planning to contact you, so we will contact each other.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Okay.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.